Imagine waking up every morning for 29 years, still believing the war was not over, still loading your rifle, still hiding in the jungle, still waiting for orders that would never come. For most of the world, World War II ended in 1945. But for one Japanese soldier, the war continued until 1974. His name was Hiroo Onoda, and his story is one of the strangest, darkest, and most haunting stories left behind by World War II. Hiroo Onoda was born in Japan in 1922. As a young man, he was intelligent, disciplined, and deeply loyal to his country. During World War II, he was trained as an intelligence officer. He learned how to survive behind enemy lines, gather information, and conduct guerrilla warfare. In December 1944, at the age of 22, Onoda was sent to Lubang Island in the Philippines. Japan was already losing the war. American forces were advancing across the Pacific, and Japanese troops were being pushed back from island to island. But Onoda was given a mission. His orders were simple but absolute. Conduct guerrilla warfare, never surrender, never take your own life, and wait until the Japanese army returned. To most people, an order is just a command. But to Onoda, that order became his entire reality. In August 1945, Japan surrendered. World War II was over. Soldiers went home, cities began to rebuild, families tried to start again. But deep in the jungle of Lubang Island, Hiroo Onoda did not believe it. Leaflets were dropped over the island announcing Japan's surrender. Onoda found them, he read them, and then he rejected them. To him, the leaflets were enemy propaganda, a trick designed to lure him out of hiding. How could Japan surrender? How could the empire lose? Why would the enemy tell the truth? So he stayed in the jungle, and he kept fighting. At first, Onoda was not alone. He was with 3 other Japanese soldiers, Yuichi Akatsu, Shoichi Shimada, and Kinshichi Kozuka. Together, they built a hidden life in the jungle. They slept under leaves and branches. They survived on bananas, coconuts, wild food, and stolen rice. They repaired their uniforms. They cleaned their weapons. And every day they believed the same thing. The war was still happening. But the world outside had already moved on. Japan rebuilt itself. Tokyo changed. The Cold War began. Television entered homes. New generations were born who had no memory of World War II. But in Onoda's mind, time had stopped in 1945. The Japanese government tried to reach him. Letters from family members were dropped into the jungle. Photographs were sent. Newspapers were left behind. Loudspeakers called out messages telling him the war was over. But Onoda believed it was all fake. The letters could be forged. The photographs could be staged. The voices could be enemy propaganda. Imagine that. Your own family is trying to save you, but your mind has already decided that even love might be a trap. And this is where the story becomes darker, because Onoda was not simply hiding, he was still fighting. Over the years, Onoda and the remaining soldiers raided local villages for food and supplies. They clashed with Filipino police, soldiers, and civilians. To Onoda, these were enemy actions in an ongoing war. But to the people of Lubang Island, the war had already ended. They were farmers, families, villagers trying to live in peace. And for them, Onoda was not just a mysterious soldier in the jungle, he was a real danger. That is why his story cannot be told as a simple story of heroism. To some, Hiroo Onoda became a symbol of discipline and loyalty, but to others, he was a man whose war continued long after everyone else had already paid the price. Over time, Onoda's group became smaller. One man surrendered, another was killed. Then in 1972, Kinshichi Kozuka, the last soldier beside him, was killed during a clash with Philippine forces. After that, Hiroo Onoda was completely alone. No army, no radio, no commander, no country at war, just one man, one rifle, and one order from 1944. By then, Onoda was around 50 years old. He had spent almost his entire adult life in the jungle, but still he did not stop. Because in his mind, surrender was not his decision to make. He was a soldier, and a soldier needed orders. Then in 1974, a young Japanese adventurer named Norio Suzuki traveled to the Philippines. Suzuki had one strange goal: to find Hiroo Onoda. Many people thought Onoda was dead, but Suzuki believed he might still be alive. So he entered the jungle, he searched, he waited, and against all odds, he found him. Suzuki told Onoda the truth. The war was over. Japan had surrendered nearly 29 years earlier. The world had moved on, but Onoda would not accept it, not from Suzuki. His answer was calm, almost chilling. I cannot abandon my post without orders from my commanding officer. That was the key. Not a leaflet, not a newspaper, not a FAM.